Welcome back to Extra Dirt, the podcast designed to help you and your life group put down deeper roots relationally and spiritually. Just as a reminder for you quickly, this is our second to last podcast here. We'll be hanging up this podcast when we take a break from Luke for the summer, and it won't be resuming in the fall, so make sure that you have plans with your life group of what you're going to do next. And so just wanted to remind you of that so you're not taken by surprise. In terms of this week's content, I hope you were challenged, convicted by this sermon in understanding that God, as owner of our lives, actually has expectations of us. Sometimes it's easy, I think, for us to forget this. But the reality is that God has entrusted us with a very great many things. As we looked at James chapter 1 and the idea that God is the author of and the giver of all good things, that everything that we appreciate, that we hold dear, that is truly good for us, whether that's our families or our positions or our ministry or whatever it may be, all of those things are from God, and they're given to us from a good God. But He expects that we also use those then in a way that brings Him glory. If you look all the way back to Adam and Eve were entrusted with this dominion over the Garden of Eden, and they had everything just perfect and awesome. And when they disobeyed God, when they rejected Him as the authority in their life, what happened was they were cast out of the garden. And you'll find in Israel's history, again, as you look through the Old Testament, that when Israel rejected God's plan again and again and again, eventually what did God do? He punished them by casting them out of the land. He brought in foreign nations, and the Jews were exiled out of the promised land. They were kicked out of their inheritance, if you will. And that same idea then, Jesus applies to the Jews in saying, look, if you reject me again, you will lose this inheritance. You will be removed from it. You will be cast out. And I think that challenge also applies to us as well, that if we who have been entrusted with the gospel reject God and His authority, He may bring others in our place. As the picture in Revelation, as He says to a church that has forgotten Him, sort of turned their back on Him, He says, your lampstand will be removed from you. Your position in my plan, your authority, your place in my spreading of the gospel and of my reign will be revoked from you. So there's a big challenge there. God does expect that we would use His blessings in a way that are good and that are honoring to Him. And the penalty for rejecting God is rejection. It's expulsion. So in terms of building your group into a more tightly knit group, in the past I know we've talked about how an outwardly focused group is actually the healthiest. The group that isn't just about us and our needs, but who looks to actively serve others is the group that bonds best and that has the least, if you will, strife and competition, because their concerns are not on their own needs and how they're being met or not met, but their concerns are on the needs of others. And it's good to maintain that attitude of service to others. A great way to do that is to serve together, whether it's some cause in the community or whether it's somebody in your group knows, serving them directly. As a group, those can be a helpful thing. But I would push you a step further this week. It's very easy for us as Christians and as Americans to think that we're good at serving or at loving others when we're really not. And here's what I mean by that. We will do something as long as it doesn't cost us anything. It's easy to like a page on Facebook or to send, $10 to some charitable cause, because $10, we're not even really going to miss it. We're not going to know it's gone. But when it comes time to actually giving something that's going to cost us, our eagerness to share and to serve is, it disappears. If I have to give up watching the big game in order to serve somebody, my propensity to serve all of a sudden hits basically zero. If giving this money is going to cost me a vacation, then I don't want to do it. If helping this person is going to cause me to get my hands dirty or to step out of where I'm safe and comfortable, then I don't want to do it. Very often what we think is true love and true service is simply giving some excess that we don't already need. And the most valuable, the realest kind of love is this. Jesus says, greater love has no man than this, that He would lay down His life for a friend. That we would, the greater the sacrifice for ourselves, the greater the meaning of that love and that service. And so I would challenge you as you challenge your group again to keep that focus on others. Encourage them to ask this question: what has this cost me? If it costs me nothing, then the value of it is next to nothing. Not that it's bad to help people in ways that don't really bother, that don't bother you, or that are easy to do, or that you've got time for. That's not it at all. But if you never give in a way that costs you personally, you might be overestimating the amount of love that you're actually showing. So go out, serve others, love others, do so in a way that costs you, and then you will understand quite clearly what the true level of your love for somebody is. That's what I have for you this week. I hope you're encouraged in God's great blessing of giving us the responsibility and of entrusting us with these good gifts, with his vineyard. But I hope you also feel the challenge of entering into that and responding appropriately and remembering that all authority is his. We will see you back here one more week next week. It's been good to be with you. May God bless you richly.